Hello everyone. Last day we have discussed about viscosity, a property of the fluids according to which, by virtue of which there exists the frictional force between the different layers of the liquid, right? So this viscous force or the force of friction in the liquids called as viscous force or viscous drag is given by F is equal to minus eta A into dV upon dx, where eta is the coefficient of viscosity. It is a constant for the kind of fluid, particular kind of fluid. A is the area of contact between the different layers of the fluid, whereas dV upon dx, it is the velocity gradient. It shows the variation in the velocity whenever the separation between the layers are separated by dx. So this is the velocity gradient. So all these things we have discussed last day. We have also discussed the effect of temperature on the viscosity, and we come to know that as the temperature increases, the viscosity of the liquid goes on decreasing, whereas in case of gases, with increase in temperature, their viscosity goes on increasing. Then we have discussed some applications of the viscosity. Now we will try to extend our discussion to little further. We will talk about some similarities, and then we will talk about the differences between the viscosity, means the frictional force between liquids, and the solid friction, right? So let us talk about the similarities first. So similarities between viscosity, means the frictional force among the layers of the liquid, and solid friction. So what are the similarities? Very first similarity is that both of these, the viscous drag force in case of liquids and the solid friction, both are the opposing forces, means they act opposite to the relative motion between the different layers of the liquid or between the different surfaces of the objects which are involved in the friction. So both viscosity and solid friction, they oppose the motion. So both are opposing forces. So because they are opposing forces, they oppose the motion of the objects, right? The viscosity opposes the relative motion between the two layers of the liquid, whereas the solid friction opposes the relative motion between the two surfaces. Second point of similarity is that both viscosity and solid friction come into action or play whenever there is some relative motion between the layers of the liquid or between the surfaces of the solids, right? So they come into action when there is relative motion between the layers of the liquid or between the surfaces of the solids. Third point of similarity is that both viscosity and solid friction are they happen due to the reason for them to come into action is the intermolecular interactions between the molecules of the different layers and the molecules of the different surfaces. So they happen due to the intermolecular interactions, right? So these are some points of similarities among the viscosity and solid friction. Now we can talk about the differences among the two. First difference is that whereas viscosity, it depends upon the area of contact. Here in the formula of this viscous drag force you can see, so it depends upon the area of contact between the layers, right? So viscosity depends upon area of contact between layers, whereas in case of solid friction, they are independent. Solid friction is independent of area of contact, right? So as we have already discussed in our previous classes, the solid friction, it does not depend upon the area of contact between the surfaces. So this is one point of difference. Another point of difference is that viscosity, it does not depend upon the normal reaction. So viscosity, it is independent of normal reaction, whereas we already know that the in case of solids, the frictional force, it depends on normal reaction. So as the normal reaction increases, the solid friction increases. So these are some points of differences and similarities among the viscosity and the solid friction. Okay, now we can extend our discussion to a very important law which we are going to discuss. So here, before we proceed directly to the law, let us take the situation. Suppose that we have a body which is falling in a liquid. So this is the container in which liquid is taken up to some level. The liquid is of some specific properties, just like its density, its coefficient of viscosity, all these like that. And this object is falling in this liquid. Object is having some radius and of course some velocity with which it is entering the liquid. So what happens? The layers which come in contact with the body, they move along with the body, right? They move along with the body. But the layers which are at further distance from this body, they are comparatively or relatively at rest. So they are not in motion. So due to this situation, what situation? The layers which are in contact with this, which are in immediate contact with the body, they move along with the body, whereas the layers which are at larger distance, they do not move. So due to which a relative motion comes into action between the different layers of the liquid, right? So relative motion happen between the different layers of the liquid, and due to this relative motion between the different layers of the liquid, the frictional force, or we can say viscous drag force, comes into action, which act in opposite direction between the different layers of the liquid, right? Okay, and this viscous drag force goes on decreasing as we move away from this body, because the relative motion, the layers which are at very large of distance, they are comparatively at rest. So due to this, the object initially, it just accelerates inside the liquid. So this body initially accelerates, and after traveling some distance in the liquid, it just attains a constant velocity, and now it moves continuously with that constant velocity inside that fluid or liquid. So that constant velocity, it is called as the terminal velocity. So the term is quite simple to understand. So terminal velocity is that constant velocity with which a body travels inside a fluid, right? So why this happens? We have already discussed, because the weight of the object is balanced by this viscous drag force. When both of these, all the forces are balancing each other, then the object will move with a constant velocity, which we call as the terminal velocity. So terminal velocity is the constant velocity of the object inside a fluid, be it a liquid or a gas. So Stokes has given a law called as Stokes' law to calculate the viscous drag force whenever an object of some radius r, moves in a fluid of some coefficient of viscosity eta, which has the coefficient of viscosity eta, right? And it attains some constant velocity, or simply we call it terminal velocity v. For example, this terminal velocity is v. So whenever there is an object of radius r, it is moving with some terminal velocity v in a fluid of coefficient of viscosity eta, then according to Stokes' law, this viscous drag force is given by F is equal to 6 pi eta r into v. So this relationship, it is called as the Stokes' law. So the physicist Stokes has given this law. It relates the viscous drag force with the coefficient of viscosity, the radius of the object, or we can say size of the object, and v, the terminal velocity of the object in the fluid. We can derive this formula by the method of dimensions. So for derivation, suppose this viscous drag force is given to be some constant times eta to the power a, r to the power b, and v to the power c. Right? By the method of dimension, we are going to prove this or establish this relationship, where the viscous drag force F depends upon the coefficient of viscosity, radius of the object, or we can say size of the object, and the terminal velocity of the object in the fluid. Okay. So from here, we will substitute by the method of dimensions. What we do here, we substitute the values of, or we can say dimensions for all the terms involved here. So on the left hand side, it is the force. So the dimensions for the force are ml t minus 2. This is equal to constant, let me call it k for the simplicity of calculation. Okay. Eta, the coefficient dimensions of the eta means coefficient of viscosity are the m l minus 1 t minus 1. Its power, we are taking it to be a. We have to find out the value of a, b and c, into r, that which is just the length because it is the radius. So it is l power b, and velocity v, terminal velocity v, its dimensions are l t minus 1 powered c. So we solve the terms on the right hand side. So what we get? This constant k. What are the powers of m from all this relationship? So power of m is coming from the first term, it is m to the power a, and there are no other terms containing m, and then comes l. So what are the powers of l? From the first term, the power of l is minus a. From the second term, it is plus b, and from third term, it is plus c. And similarly, the powers of t, from the first term it is coming minus a, second term it is nothing, and third term it is minus c. So this is the simplification of the right hand side. Now, if this relationship is true according to the dimensional analysis, then the powers of we can say similar dimensions will be same. So therefore, for m, left hand side, the power of m is 1, and on the right hand side, the power of m is a. So that means a is given to be 1. And for l, similarly, left hand side, it is 1. As you can see here, the power of l is 1, and on the right hand side, it is minus a plus b plus c. And for t, the power of left hand side for t is minus 2, and on the right hand side it is minus a minus c. So when we solve all these together, because a is found to be 1, we substitute the value of a from here in this third equation, and we can get here c, which again comes out to be 1. And then by using a and c, we can substitute here and calculate b. So we see that a comes out to 1, b also comes out to 1, c also comes out to 1. So now we can substitute the values of a, b, c here in this formula. So force F, viscous drag force F, becomes equal to constant k into eta to the power 1, r to the power 1 and v to the power 1. So, it is simply eta r v, and the value of constant is numerically found to be 6 pi. So, value of k is found to be 6 pi. So, it is 6 pi eta r v. So, this is how we derive this formula by the method of dimensions. Okay. So, here we are talking about the terminal velocity. So, terminal velocity is an important term, and we can derive a formula to find out the terminal velocity of any object falling in a liquid. So, in order to do that, what we take an object which is of spherical shape having radius r, and the density of the material of this object is rho. For example, this object is falling in vertically downward direction. It is falling in this liquid taken in a container. The liquid is having the coefficient of viscosity eta and its density is sigma, for example, right. So, this object, whenever it fall in this liquid, after traveling some distance in this liquid, it attains some constant velocity which we call as terminal velocity. So, here we will find the formula in order to calculate the terminal velocity of this object, right. So, this object is having mass m. So, now there are the different kinds of forces which act here on the object. The very first forces of the forces is number 1, the weight of the object. So, which is m into g. It acts in vertically downward direction. Second, upthrust by liquid, which is equal to weight of displaced liquid. So, weight of the displaced liquid, this is the liquid which is displaced by the this object, right. And third force, it is the viscous force or viscous drag force. Okay, so upthrust, it also it acts in vertically upward direction, and viscous drag force, this also act in vertically upward direction. So, on this object there are three forces. Let us indicate them separately. One is m into g, right. Viscous drag force, which is acting in vertically upward direction, and also upthrust, it is also acting in upward direction, right. Because after traveling some distance in the fluid, the object is traveling with some constant velocity. This is upthrust u. So, when velocity becomes constant, when velocity of the object becomes constant, called as terminal velocity, in that case it means that net force on this object is 0. So, that means net downward force, it is equal to net upward force. So, therefore, at constant velocity, called as terminal velocity, net upward force is equal to net downward force. So, net downward force is simply m into g, and net upward force, it is given by the upthrust, sum of the upthrust and the viscous drag force F. So, viscous drag force F, it is given by the Stokes law, and this F becomes equal to 6 pi eta r into V. So, we substitute with the value of F to be 6 pi eta r into V, plus upthrust is equal to weight of the liquid displaced, which is equal to volume of the liquid. So, how the weight of the liquid displaced, this is equal to mass of the displaced liquid multiplied by g. So in order to calculate the mass of the liquid, what we do? We make the use of this formula. So mass of the liquid will be the volume of the liquid displaced, which is equal to volume of the object. So volume of the object is 4 by 3 pi r cube. So this is the volume of the object. Equivalent to this volume, the liquid is displaced. So this is the volume of the liquid displaced multiplied by the density of the liquid. So this becomes the mass of the liquid displaced, and multiplied by g, it becomes the weight, or we can say force, weight of this displaced liquid, which is the upthrust. Similarly, on the right hand side, here we can also express this mass of the object in terms of its density and we can say volume. So in order to do that, mass of this object is equal to its volume, which is 4 by 3 pi r cube, multiplied by its density, which is rho. This becomes the mass of the object, multiplied by g, it becomes the weight of this object. So now we simply simplify this equation for V. We take each and every term on the right hand side, and we can write the formula for the terminal velocity, which comes out to be it comes out to be 2 upon 9. This is 9. 2 upon 9 into, it is rho minus sigma divided by eta into r square into g. So this becomes the formula in order to calculate the terminal velocity of the object. So from this, we see that the terminal velocity of the object depends upon the radius r of the object, the densities of the object and the fluid, and the coefficient of viscosity of the fluid in which this object is moving. Right? So these are some terms. So how these vary? The terminal velocity will be more if the coefficient of viscosity is less, just like that, and you can compare each and every term just like that. And if we plot the graph for the terminal velocity with the time, we see that after traveling some distance, or we can say for some time in the liquid, the body, initially its velocity goes on increasing, so there is acceleration. So for some time, after some time, the object attains some constant velocity, right? So this constant velocity, it is called as terminal velocity. So this is the graph between the terminal velocity and the time. You can understand from here. Actually, the things just like raindrops, parachute, or any other thing just like that, they fall with the terminal velocity in the air fluid or liquid, gas, sorry. Okay. So a liquid can have a streamline or turbulent flow, which can be known with some particular number called as Reynolds number. So we have this important term here is to know whether the flow of the liquid will be a streamline flow or a turbulent flow. So this is the last thing about this topic of viscosity. So according to Reynolds, there is some critical velocity with which if liquid flows, it will have the streamline flow, or for the velocity below the critical velocity, again the flow of liquid will be streamline flow. But if the velocity of the liquid becomes more than some certain velocity called as critical velocity, so the flow of the liquid will become turbulent. It will no more be a streamline flow. So that critical velocity so according to Reynolds, the critical velocity of the liquid, it is directly proportional to the coefficient of viscosity of the liquid, inversely proportional to the density of the liquid, and it is also inversely proportional to the diameter of the tube. So this is according to Reynolds number. So this critical velocity, certain velocity, it will be equal to the coefficient of viscosity, the density of the liquid, and the diameter of the tube in which liquid is flowing. So from there comes an equation for the critical velocity, which is equal to r into eta upon rho into d. So this is the formula for the critical velocity, where r here is the constant of proportionality and here it is called as the Reynolds number. And from here this Reynolds number becomes equal to, we take each and every term on the other side, so it becomes Vc rho d upon eta. So it has no units and no dimension, it is just a number. So when we substitute for the critical velocity of the liquid, for the density of the liquid, for the diameter of the tube, and for its we can say coefficient of viscosity, we get a number, right? So when this number r is less than 1000, the flow of the liquid remains streamline. However, it depends upon the kind of the liquid. For some this number may be higher for the streamline flow, and if the number is more than 2000 or more than 1000 or 2000, it becomes turbulent. So if it remains between 1000 and 2000, the flow of the liquid keeps on changing between streamline and the turbulent flow. But if the Reynolds number it is more than 2000, its flow becomes permanently a turbulent flow. So this is just a number called as Reynolds number, according to which we can tell about whether the flow of liquid will be a streamline flow or a turbulent flow. So that's about this class. Thank you.